Get the gang right to the side sex. Leave the fire and the roof stars. I'm on the grind like we're chasing the stars. From Millmore to Dew Valley, we've come so far. Talk about legends, yeah, we know the score. Ronnie and Bobby, we remember you more. From the highs of the Wembley fight to losing our trousers, still we ignite. Red and white with the pride, we're never gonna bow. Fighting like middlemen, hear the roar now. We're middlemen, we stand up tall. Through ups and downs, we give it all. From Millmore to Dew Valley.
Good evening and welcome to Terrace Talk. We have got a pre-show special today. We've got Craig from the Mansfield Matters. How are you doing, Craig?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me on. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no worries. I'd like to say we're looking forward to the game, but I'm not sure we are at the moment. Our form's been very indifferent, but we're hopeful we can get a win. There were tight games last season against you guys, so I'm hoping we can actually. I mean, the fact that we're away is a huge concern because we never win away. So that's a huge concern. But tell me a bit about Mansfield. So how has your season been this season, and where do you think you're going to sort of end up? What were your seasons sort of when you started the season? Where did you think you'd sort of finish?
I think we've been relatively bang average so far. I don't think we've pulled up any trees, but also we've not been as bad as we thought we could potentially be. Obviously, our season last year, to use the cliche, was very much a season of two halves. We had a fantastic first half, and then at the turn of the calendar year, everything just went absolutely belly up. And I think, to be fair, maybe 3 or 4 more games in the season last season, we could well be back in League Two. I think we were fortunate to, secure our survival status at some points last year, which just goes to show what happens when you miss 1 or 2 players. We've massively rebuilt over the summer. We've brought in 11 new faces, which definitely takes time to bed in and to create that gelling feeling. And then what doesn't help in that is when you have a number of injuries. We've got a lot of key players missing, especially for Saturday. Ryan Sweeney, the captain, will be suspended after getting sent off at the weekend at Port Vale. We've got Desjolaja, or Dave as we like to refer to him on our podcast because it's just easier. He'll be missing through injury as well. Bailey Cargill out injured. Jordan Bowery, who's been a mainstay for us in the back four this season, has been phenomenal. He went off injured as well on Saturday. So be interesting to see if we actually have got any fit centre halves or anyone actually available to play in defence on Saturday. I think Clough will probably be walking around the car park beforehand asking people if they can play centre back. So I might take my boots. I might have a chance. So very frustrated on the injury front. But in terms of where we are in the table, exactly where I'd expect us to be at the moment. Bang average mid-table. When we get the ball down and play, we look all right. We look susceptible sometimes to conceding cheap goals, but I'm relatively happy with how things are ticking along and quietly excited of what could come once we get everybody fit and available. But my expectations still remain very much like they did at the start of the season before a ball was kicked, and that is to once again this season consolidate, stay in the division and build with this team. Nigel Clough has got a history with putting it aside together. It's not something which happens overnight. It tends to tick over. If you look at how our journey came about into getting into League One, it took us 3 or 4 seasons with a squad where we were just adding dribs and drabs into every transfer window to make it stronger. And I get the sense that it will be the same again. So we can stay in the league this year, maybe sort of try and hold on to a bit more of a higher mid-table finish, somewhere around sort of between 10th and 14th, 15th, no lower than that. I think next season, we'll be in a good position to try and push on. But consolidate, for me, it's the best thing to do. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
So who would you say obviously for us Rotherham fans that are listening, who would you say the standout players are for Mansfield that could hurt us tomorrow that will be playing?
But that's the big question. It's that who will be playing, to be honest. So I think we've brought in Tyler Roberts on loan from Birmingham. He looks a handful when he gets the ball to feet, but again, he's not quite fully fit. So He's one to watch out for if we can get him fully fit. Reece Oates, who scored on Saturday, he's had a long time out. He made his 100th appearance at the weekend, but he could have easily made 200-300 in the time that he's been here. He's spent as long out as he has on the pitch, to be fair. But when he's fit and hungry, he does look like a handful. So he's probably one to watch out for. I think the main one, and our side is very much built around him, is Jamie McDonnell, who's on loan from Nottingham Forest on a season-long loan. He was called into the full international squad in the last international break, and that wasn't by coincidence. That's very much on merit. He's very good holding defensive midfielder, likes to play in front of the back four. Call him the Artful Dodger because he likes to pick at a pocket or two and really sort of drive us forward. Potentially could see him playing centre back tomorrow on Saturday, with the injuries that we've got. But he's pretty much the engine room of our team, so I'd say him. And if he's fit and available, Joe Gardner, another loanee from Nottingham Forest. We've got 3 on loan from our
Yeah, I've
neighbours.
noticed you've signed a few, because obviously I live in Nottingham, so I've noticed Mansfield had signed a couple of players from Nottingham Forest, and my friend who's a Nottingham Forest fan was raving about a couple of them, saying they are going to be really good players. So
yeah, Joe Gardner's one who, for me, will probably catch eyes. But again, he's struggled for an injury. We signed him, went onto a pre-season training camp in Sligo. He played about 2 minutes of the game, got injured, came back a few weeks ago, and then at Port Vale on Saturday, I think felt his groin, so went off injured. So not sure whether he'll be available or not. But if he is, in the small time that we have seen him, he does look a good attacking threat. So again, when everyone's fit and available, you can take your pick. But until we know everyone is fit and available, it's very much sort of have a look at who we've got. So I'd probably say those ones for me. I think, and the other one I'd say look out for slightly is probably Will Evans. Again, top scorer last year, or he was up there in the scoring charts anyway. Bit of an untraditional route into football. Played on the left wing a little bit over the last couple of games due to Nigel Clough sort of tinkering with the shape. Played at right wing back on Saturday due to being down to 10 men. He's decent when he gets the ball to feet, but he's very much a confidence player, and confidence hasn't joined him so far this season.
Super. So I'm glad you've said you've got injuries, because Rotherham are very much on the same sort of path. We're similar with the signings as well. We made 13 new signings in the summer. A lot of young players, a lot of talented players, but they're just not quite gelling at the moment. We're sort of getting one half of football out of them, and then the second half, a lot would say, is down to tactics with us. So I think we've actually got the players, but I think I know he was at Mansfield, is very highly regarded in Mansfield, I believe. But the fans are starting now to already turn, because obviously our predictions this season was obviously we'd be expecting we yo-yo between League One and the Championship. Last year was the first time we didn't get back, and obviously it cost Steve Evans his job. And this time the chairman has sort of given him money, but we're not seeing that value for money on the pitch at the minute. But like you said, we've had so many injuries. It is so hard to judge the team at the minute. We've got probably only 2 fit strikers in the whole club, who in Jordan Hugel, who's not scoring at the minute really. He got one the other week, and then we've got Josh Coyote, who's just a young player. We've got Atete on loan from Cardiff. He got injured straight away. We got Holmes on loan. He got injured straight away. We'd already got a host, so his top scorer from last season, Sam Nombe, injured. And then all his midfielders, we signed Josh Benson from Barnsley. He got injured. He might be back tomorrow. I think a few of them are starting to come back, and a few may be available for tomorrow, which we do need, because obviously we need a lift at the club at the minute, because I honestly believe if we lose to you at the weekend, there's rumour in Rotherham at the moment that he's got 3 games to save his job. So I don't think we can afford to lose at Mansfield. And it's going to be difficult, because Mansfield, I always think, is a difficult place to come, especially the Mansfield against Rotherham. The fans are always up for it. It's an intimidating atmosphere. So I do fear for us, but I am still going to probably predict a win, which I normally do when it backfires on me. But I mean, tactically, what sort of formation are you playing at the minute for Mansfield?
We've had a change probably over the last 4 or 5 weeks or so. Nigel Clough very much went into this season wanting to play with 3 centre backs and then wing backs, so sort of a 3-5 formation, if you like. And it didn't work. We got tore apart at Burton. We weren't very good value for it. Same again in our second game against Doncaster. Didn't really work for us. We weren't really utilising the players to our best of our ability. And then injuries and suspensions and various other things sort of twisted Clough's arm a little bit, and we went back to a 4-2-3-1, which I much prefer, and we look a lot sharper into, to be fair. And having those 2 holding midfielders in Lewis Reed and Jamie McDonnell, that's the engine for us, really, and we do tick over with it. Problem is, when one of them's not available, the other one does suffer a little bit. So very much in football, partnerships is a major thing. Lewis Reed was missing at Port Vale, and it showed. Jamie McDonnell was on international duty the week before when we went to a week or so before we went to Wickham and lost there. It showed. So, if they're both available, great. If they're not, there's a little bit of a worry. But I don't think Clough will deteriorate too much from that 4-2-3-1 or at least a back 4 and go a little bit for a 4-1-4-1 or something like that. He's quite stubborn in the way that he likes to play, and to be fair, at the minute, that's all we've got availability wise. We're all right with attack-minded players, but we are struggling at the back for defenders and for legs. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But I'd very much foresee us sort of playing with that 4-2-3-1 sort of setup, almost an attacking diamond really, with the striker and the 3 attacking midfielders, because they all do interchange position. We've not really got a set out and out centre forward and out left winger, right winger, and 10 really. They all interchange between them, which is the way Clough likes to play and likes to be a little bit fluid. So I very much accept that. I'm quite surprised to hear you talk about that Hamshaw is probably, from your point of view, your guys' point of view, probably looking towards maybe having 3 more games to save his job, because he's a very well respected coach, and I wasn't surprised to sort of see him get the job. I was surprised a little bit to see him sort of go away from the Paul Warren, Richie Barker sort of trio, which they had, and sort of break that up a little bit. But no, I think he just needs a little bit of time and patience. But that's the difference, isn't it? I think if he was at Mansfield, he was in the form that he's in at Rotherham, I think he'd be given a lot more time and patience, because the expectations are different. But when you're, like you say, a team and a club that are demanding to be, up there with the top 6 or 7, vying for promotion every season and trying to be that yo-yo club, if you like, between the Champ and League One, the pressure is going to rise a little bit. But I'd like to see him give a little bit of a chance, because you know what happened. He'll go. Big Steve's available, or not so big Steve anymore, or littler Steve, and he'll be on the phone to Chairman again. Now. So he is. He'll be on the phone to Chairman again. And you don't need snakes like that in your camp.
Yeah. I think we need. It's interesting you said that you were playing the 3 at the back and it just didn't work. Well, that's what we're playing currently with Matt Hamshaw, and it is not working. But he's very
players to play it. You have to have the right balance. I mean, our problem was we essentially have 3 left footers playing in the centre back roles. You need to have a right footer, both foot. Someone in the middle who can play right and left foot, and then a left footer. When you're outbalanced and you've got 2 left footers and a right footer, it doesn't work. You have to understand the roles in that situation. I think when you've got young players, it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think there's too many young players in that squad. They're not getting the system, and it's costing us. But he doesn't have plan B. Yeah. So if it's not working, and I can tell you 3 or 4 games we've outplayed teams in the first half. The second half, their manager's gone in, looked at the shape, looked at the tactics, counteracted that, and we've had no idea. And second half, we've been sort of torn apart on occasions in second half. But in first half, we look like we're a team top end of the table. Second half, you think this team's going to get relegated. That's how the contrast is. And that's where the worry is for Matt Hamshaw is, yeah, he is respected as a coach, but has he got the nous to be an actual manager? Has he got the things to get in and at him at half time? Where we've seen even Port Vale, they were down to 10. We ended up still winning the game, but Port Vale absolutely battered us that second half. And that were somebody like Darren Moore, he's gone in there and he's got into them. And even with 10 men, they've outplayed us the second half. And that's my worry with Matt, I'm sure. I mean, nobody ever wants to see anybody lose the job. And I do want him to turn it around. But I just fear if we continue, football is a results-driven business. The thing is, the attendances are dropping as well now, which is with our chairman. That's when he seems to act, is when people stop coming through. I mean, the same fixture last year against Stockport had an extra 2,300 attendees than it did yesterday. So it tells you the fans are not enjoying the football, and that's the concern for Matt, I'm sure. I think it, like you say, it's a young team. We've got some good young players. I'd like to see him turn it around, and hopefully we can. I think a win on Saturday against Mansfield will help that. It'll just bring a bit back, because at the minute the fans are split down the middle. Half want him gone. I mean, I did a poll and it was kind of more after the weekend, more were I'm sure out than in. But there is a lot still backing him because they know he's a good coach. And what obviously his connections with Paul Warne, he's highly regarded at the club, and he's from Rotherham, and he was a Rotherham fan. So it kind of divides people. So people that are sort of with Matt, I'm sure a lot of fans are going on to them saying it's only because he's Matt from Rotherham. If he wasn't a Rotherham supporter, you would want him gone. And it's kind of a divide in the fan base. So I just hope for his sake, we can sort of turn it around and start against this weekend. Because obviously living in Nottingham, it's quite close to Mansfield. I do know a lot of Mansfield Town supporters as well. And I can't be doing with the heartache of another defeat, because I've already had it against Doncaster. We've already lost to Barnsley. We don't want to be losing to Mansfield as well. And also my Chesterfield friends, they definitely don't want us to lose to you, because there's a big rivalry between Chesterfield and Mansfield. They're definitely telling us we need to win this one.
Yeah, there certainly is. I can see why the pressure would come for Hampshire. To be fair, should get a decent reception. I think a lot of Stags fans remember him, his time in his playing days. He was well regarded for us, and I think a lot of us have sort of followed his career since. But yeah, it is difficult when you live in the area, you've got strong ties with the area, you've had success previously as part of another regime, so it's difficult. But then again, if you do sort of part ways with him and you bring somebody else in, they're not necessarily going to guarantee you results, because part of their caveat may well be, well, I need to overhaul the squad. It's going to be more expensive in January, and then that puts you back another year, doesn't it? So sometimes there's a lot to be said for a little bit of patience. I think back to when, you know, Clough was first here at Mansfield, and in that first season, or the first season after COVID anyway, once he put his own squad together, we had a terrible start, and then sort of we played Northampton away and lost terribly there. Something then clicked and we went on a decent run and ended up getting to the playoffs that year. And, you know, the Radfords, the owners at Mansfield, stuck with him, and look where we are now. Whereas previously, you know, we've had managers like Dave Flitcroft, who lost in the playoff semi-final, was sacked straight away. It sort of split those two a little bit in terms of their opinions. Big Steve obviously walked out and left us for Peterborough via China, the snake that he is. And, you know, that cost as well. So there's a lot to be said for patience in football. And I understand and appreciate, you know, the whole want and desire to go on and sort of be more successful, especially when the expectations are so high. So it's got all the ingredients for a good fixture tomorrow on Saturday afternoon. Especially now that, you know, in your previous trips, you wouldn't have seen the Bishop Street stand full either. So that's now done. So we've got three sides of noise now.
All right. Okay. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, obviously, about the patience, because I remember Paul Warne in his tenure. There was a season, I think we was playing Blackpool away. I think we were losing the game, and the consensus was that he was going to lose his job. We ended up coming back to win that game, and then we went on a run and actually got promoted to the Championship again. So that one game turned his season around, and we went on a fantastic run, managed to get promoted, and the rest is history. So, like you said, sometimes it's better the devil you know kind of thing. Because, like you say, you can get managers in and they're just not committed to your club either. Obviously, like you're saying with Big Steve Evans, he's committed to the money, isn't he? So if somebody comes for him, he's off like a shot. But yeah, I think if we can turn it around, I think he could keep his job with it. But I think he's just got to try and stop being as stubborn. As a manager, you've got to adapt. I don't think you can be rigid anymore. I think the football is a squad game as well now. So he is starting in his after-match comments to blaming on the injuries. But you've got a squad there, and you can't. We had last week where we're playing players that are not fully fit, but players that are fully fit on the bench that are just as good as the players that are playing half fit. Sometimes you're thinking you've got to help yourself out at this stage. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. So what are your sort of thoughts on Rotherham's start so far? Has it shocked you? Are you surprised that we're down there, or are you thinking actually there's a big overall there?
I think it has surprised me a little bit because, like you said, you spent a lot of money in the close season to put a squad together. You've obviously got expectations to be in and around there and sort of, be at the top end of the table. But at the same time, it's not surprised me that much because it does take time for squads to gel and for systems to set in. And then when you have a whole heap of injuries in there as well, like you have, like we have, it does disrupt things, and nothing's won or lost at this stage of the season. It's, you put a little bit of momentum together, anything can happen. It's still sort of early doors. I don't think there's anything too much for you guys to worry about. I think once you do find your groove, you will find your groove. There was little things I think back to when we played you at your place in the league last season. There were little bits in the game where I'm thinking, I can see what his style is here. I can see what he wants to try and do. And with one or two new additions, it could be on something good here. But it's just about being fit, available, and just riding the storm. So, yeah, I think you'll be all right.
The league is quite tight. I mean, if we win at Mansfield, we're only a point behind you.
Yeah.
So although we all sat down in 21st and you're up in 13th, if we win, we're a point behind you. So, like you said, we are early in the season. So, I'm just hoping we can sort of put a win together. I mean, the away record is just abysmal at the moment, and I think we've sold around only 600 tickets so far for the game, which is not heard of for Rotherham. Really, on such a sort of short distance game. But I think the away form is having an effect on the fans attending games because they just fear now. So I think the first goal will be critical on Saturday because we tend to, if we concede the first goal, as heads go down, and you just can't see us getting back into games. There doesn't seem to be a typical Rotherham United team spirit, which we've always tend to add under Paul Warne, under Steve Evans. All these managers, we've always had a sort of mentality of we could be 3-0 down and still win the game 4-3. But now if we went 3-0 down, we'd lose 6-0 because they don't seem a mentality. Are Mansfield similar? Do they, if they concede first, or is there a bit of a fight about your team this season?
It's a little bit of both, to be fair. It's like I say, it's still quite early for what we are, and I think we're probably maybe 4 weeks behind where Clough anticipated us to be with changing the system so early in the season and bringing a few players back in late. But there is a little bit of fight about us. I think when we get on the ball and when we tend to score first, we tend to do okay and sort of see games through. We're very much a confidence team. But again, at Port Vale on Saturday last weekend, went down to 10 men after 15, 20 minutes, 0-0, held them out, defended really well to half-time, conceded a soft goal. And then we had to go for it, got back in the game, and we were really unlucky, actually, to come away with nothing. Gave away a very soft penalty, which you've seen them given, you've seen them not given. We can't do anything about it, and that will be hurting the players for sure. And one thing Nigel Clough has instilled within Stags fans is that belief that when we do lose a game of football, he absolutely hates losing 2 on the spin. So that will give us that extra little bit of grit and determination, and especially at home, if we can get that first goal against a rival in inverted commas, it will lift the crowd a little bit, and that will tend to lift the players as well. So I think if we can get on the front foot, I think we'll be okay. But if we concede, it'll make it nervy and it'll go quiet for us. But there's always that little bit of belief, especially when you look towards the bench, that something from somewhere will turn up.
So, Craig, I'm going to put you on the spot now. So I'm going to ask you for a prediction for Saturday. So what are you predicting? A Mansfield win or a draw?
Always got to go for a Mansfield win, even not knowing what back four we're going to put out, to be honest. Nigel Clough will come out and surprise us, and a player that he said will be injured for another 6 weeks or whatever will miraculously start, and we'll be like, oh, okay, right, yeah, right, what's going off there then? Or we'll play somebody in a stupid position and think, what's going to happen there? Or look at the lineup and go, I don't know where anyone's playing, and it'll baffle us all and we'll be fine. But I've got to go for a win. I'm going to say a 3-1 Mansfield win.
3-1. And who's going to score for you guys then?
Oh, Liam Roberts is going to start. Liam Roberts, the goalkeeper, is the only one I know who's going to definitely start. So I'm going to put him down for a hat-trick.
Well, obviously, I'm going to stick with my prediction, what I put on Monday night. I'm going to say we're going to get an away victory, 2-1, and Jordan Hugel will score both. And then,
interesting.
Yeah. I'm not that. If you asked me to go and put it on a bookies, I wouldn't probably do it. But it's more in hope, because obviously I do actually, as much as I have been very critical of I'm sure I do want him to turn it around, and I think a win would turn it around for us. How long that turns it around for, I don't know, but I think it will go a long way to pulling people sort of back on sides. So we're going to sort of wrap it up there. I want to thank Craig. Can you just let us know how people can find your channel as well, Craig?
You can just find you. Yeah, just search for us we're on X or Twitter, whichever way you want to call it, at MTFC Matters, and search for us for Mansfield Matters on Facebook as well, and the same on YouTube. And if you've enjoyed my sort of little ramblings as well, and you want to give us a cheeky vote, we've been nominated for the Best Football League podcast in this year's Football Content Awards. So if you want to just drop us a cheeky vote, that'd be much appreciated. And I might even give you a very slow clap when you inevitably score against us on Saturday, but only if you vote.
Yeah. So go over there. Obviously, like and subscribe and give him a vote. One of his team will probably be on our Monday night show as well. So we'll have the fallout of the results. So we'll either get a really happy Mansfield fan on who's buzzing, or somebody's gonna draw the short story if Rotherham's got an away win and he has to send someone on. But hopefully we'll have someone over on Monday night's live show. Please like, share, and subscribe the video again if you have liked it. And we will be doing a live watch along actually for the Mansfield game at 3:00. So if you want to see me going absolutely insane if we start losing again, then you're more than welcome. I have got my blood pressure tablets ready because I think I'm going to need them. Thank you again for watching, and thank you, Craig, for coming on. You've been a great guest of ours, and we will be we are live as well on Thursday for the Premier League show. Obviously, that's non-Rotherham related, but that's for the Premiership guys. They're on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Thank you again for watching and take care.